Temple Mount in Jerusalem has never been excavated, but an illegal construction project 20 years ago opened the door to some major discoveries.
The Temple Mount Sifting Project is an archaeological adventure whose purpose is to find the empirical proof.
For centuries, the Temple Mount has been one of the most mysterious and sacred places on Earth, a site where heaven and history collide. But now, a shocking new discovery beneath its ancient stones has left archaeologists and theologians speechless. Hidden chambers, strange artifacts, and evidence that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about Jerusalem's past. Beneath the Temple Mount, researchers uncovered something that feels as if it was pulled straight from the pages of a mystery novel. One of the most important artifacts, silent witness to one of the most dramatic moments in Jewish history, has been brought to light. For generations, people have wondered what secrets might lie beneath this sacred ground. And now, thanks to cutting-edge technology, we finally have answers. The chambers, untouched for nearly 3 millennia, are stirring excitement, curiosity, and awe. What makes this even more remarkable is where it was found. The Temple Mount isn't just holy to one group of people. It is sacred to Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. Because of its deep religious significance, digging under it has always been forbidden. Excavations here could spark conflict, so archaeologists have never been able to explore it in the usual way. And yet, despite those barriers, science has now revealed what was hidden for nearly 2,800 years. A discovery that is exciting, mysterious, and deeply meaningful. One that could reshape the way we see Jerusalem's past. This made the Temple Mount one of the greatest archaeological mysteries on Earth. But instead of giving up, scientists searched for a smarter way forward. They turned to advanced technology, tools that could peer underground without disturbing the sacred site. The key method was ground-penetrating radar, a system that sends radar waves into the earth and measures how they reflect back. From those signals, researchers can create images of what lies hidden below the surface. The beauty of this technique is that it leaves the ground untouched. Along with radar, scientists also used other scanning tools capable of producing three-dimensional maps. When the data finally came in, the results were almost unbelievable. The scans revealed several chambers buried beneath the Temple Mount. But these weren't just random caves formed by nature. They were clearly man-made rooms, carefully constructed and linked together like a hidden network. Even more astonishing, the evidence showed these chambers had remained untouched since around 700 years before the birth of Christ. That means they were sealed nearly 3,000 years ago, back when ancient Jerusalem was still in its earliest days. Think about that. Rooms locked away for millennia, sealed during a defining period in Jerusalem's history. Around that same time, King David had just conquered the small Canaanite hilltop city that would become Jerusalem. So what could these hidden chambers hold? Some experts believe they may have been used to store precious treasures, perhaps sacred scrolls, ritual objects, or valuable items meant to be protected forever. Some believe the hidden chambers might have been meeting places for priests or leaders. Others suggest they could have served as secret shelters during times of danger. The truth, however, remains a mystery. And here's the catch. The rooms can't be opened. Not yet. The Temple Mount is one of the most sensitive sites in the world, and even the smallest attempt to dig could spark conflict. For now, scientists can only rely on technology to look inside. That makes the discovery both exciting and frustrating. Exciting, because the mystery is enormous. Frustrating, because the answers remain just out of reach. Yet even with those limitations, this breakthrough is groundbreaking. It proves that with modern technology, we can uncover the past without moving a single stone. These sealed chambers, untouched for nearly 3,000 years, are like a time capsule from the world of ancient Jerusalem. They remind us just how much of history is still hidden, waiting to be revealed. What lies beneath the Temple Mount is more than stone walls and empty passages. It's a doorway into forgotten stories, a place where faith, history, and mystery are bound tightly together. Every new scan brings us a step closer to uncovering the truth, and one day, the world may finally know what secrets have been waiting in the dark for almost 3,000 years. But here's the twist. This is only the beginning. The most stunning part of the discovery is what scientists believe they've found inside. Deep beneath the Temple Mount, near the site where Solomon's temple once stood, they uncovered what appears to be an ancient shrine, hidden away and untouched for nearly 3,000 years. Stepping into it feels like stepping straight back into the past, and what they discovered there makes this one of the most astonishing finds in the history of archaeology. The shrine is not a single chamber. It's a complex of 8 rooms, each one carefully constructed and connected to the next. What astonishes researchers most is how perfectly preserved they are. The seal was so tight that time itself could not touch them. Above these rooms, wars were fought, kingdoms rose and collapsed, fires raged, and empires shifted. Yet nothing disturbed what lay inside. No looter ever broke in, no fire ever scorched the walls, no hand ever moved the objects. It's as if the rooms were frozen in time, an untouched capsule from the ancient world, waiting to be discovered. Inside, scientists found ritual objects used thousands of years ago. There were oil presses and wine basins, tools meant for sacred ceremonies. You can almost picture priests pressing oil for offerings or pouring wine into basins to honor their god. Remarkably, these items weren't shattered or scattered. They remained exactly as they had been left, as if someone had placed them there yesterday. In one of the chambers stands a tall stone slab, a standing stone, or massaba. In ancient times, such stones symbolized the very presence of God. People would gather around them, pray beside them, and treat them as holy. Later, King Solomon built the temple in Jerusalem, calling it the dwelling place of God. To find a sacred stone like this beneath the Temple Mount makes the discovery even more powerful. It shows this ground has been revered for countless generations. The shrine also contains altar slabs, flat stones used for offerings. What left researchers stunned was that traces of oils and incense were still detectable on their surfaces. Even after nearly 3,000 years, the faint remains of ancient rituals survive. Imagine the scent of incense once filling the room as worshippers prayed, leaving behind echoes of devotion that can still be traced today. And perhaps the most meaningful part of all is not just what was found inside, but where it was found. This shrine lies directly beneath the Temple Mount, one of the most sacred places on earth. This shrine lies directly beneath the Temple Mount, at the very heart of Jerusalem's spiritual history. Its location, so close to where Solomon's temple once stood, shows that these chambers were not ordinary storage spaces. They were part of a sacred system, deeply tied to worship in the ancient city. That alone gives the discovery enormous weight. But what truly makes it unique is its preservation. All around the world, countless ancient sites have been destroyed by war, looted by thieves, or erased by time and weather. Yet somehow, these 8 rooms survived untouched. It almost feels as if history itself protected them, keeping their secrets hidden until the right moment. This shrine is more than just stone walls and artifacts. It is a message from the people of ancient Jerusalem. It shows us what they valued, how they worshipped, and how deeply faith shaped their daily lives. For scientists, it's a treasure chest of historical evidence. For believers, it's powerful proof that the sacred roots of the Temple Mount run even deeper than anyone imagined. Sealed for nearly 3,000 years, this shrine is a true time capsule, only now being revealed. Yet, even with all that has been uncovered, the site holds one more surprise, a secret that challenges one of the most important stories in religious history. The discovery beneath the Temple Mount does more than uncover hidden rooms and sacred objects. It raises profound questions about the history described in the Bible. For centuries, tradition has told a clear story. In the 8th century before Christ, King Hezekiah of Judah carried out sweeping reforms. According to Scripture, he shut down local shrines and altars, destroying idols and commanding that all worship take place only in the temple at Jerusalem. Now, Israeli archaeologists believe they have uncovered evidence that connects directly to those reforms. Their findings suggest that the biblical account of Hezekiah's actions, tearing down the high places and centralizing worship, was not just a story, but a historical reality. Hezekiah's reforms were meant to bring the nation together, uniting the people and focusing their devotion on one central holy place, the temple in Jerusalem. But the newly uncovered shrine paints a more complicated picture. The 8 preserved rooms, filled with ritual tools, altars, and sacred stones, suggest that worship outside the main temple never fully disappeared. Instead, it seems smaller groups continued their ceremonies in secret, holding on to their traditions even after the king had banned them. If this shrine was still in use during or after Hezekiah's time, it reveals that his reforms were not absolute. Publicly, people may have gone to the temple as commanded. Privately, however, many likely clung to older practices handed down through generations. And when you think about it, this is very human. Faith and tradition run deep, and people rarely let go of their ways overnight, especially when those ways are tied to family, community, and identity. The idea that worship didn't vanish, but instead moved underground, changes the way we understand Jerusalem's spiritual life. Rather than a uniform system of worship, what emerges is a layered picture: official rituals at the temple alongside hidden ceremonies in secret shrines. This makes the past more complex, more colorful, and perhaps more relatable. It also highlights an important truth. History is rarely simple. The Bible gives us the ideals, the laws, and the vision of leaders like Hezekiah. But archaeology reveals how ordinary people actually lived out their faith. Sometimes they followed the rules, sometimes they bent them. The shrine beneath the Temple Mount is living proof that reality was messier than the official story, and the implications are enormous. If Hezekiah's reforms weren't as complete as we once believed, then the history of religion in Judah must be reconsidered. It suggests that the shift from local worship to centralized worship at the temple was not a straight path, but a long struggle, a constant tension between old traditions and new commands. For believers, this discovery doesn't weaken faith, it deepens it. It shows that the people of ancient Jerusalem faced the same struggles we do today, balancing tradition, authority, and personal devotion. For historians, it's a powerful reminder that every story has more than one side. The evidence suggests that Hezekiah's reforms didn't completely erase local worship, but instead pushed it into hidden corners. Ancient Jerusalem was both unified and diverse in its faith, a city where official worship and private traditions existed side by side. And even after nearly 3,000 years, the past is still capable of surprising us. The proof of this hidden world comes not just from walls and chambers, but from the everyday objects left behind nearly 3,000 years ago. These simple items open a window into daily life, revealing secrets that truly amaze. The shrine beneath the Temple Mount is more than stone. It's the artifacts inside that bring the story to life. At first glance, many of them seem ordinary, but in this context, they carry deep meaning. They are puzzle pieces from the First Temple period, helping us imagine how people lived, worked, and worshipped in ancient Jerusalem. One of the first discoveries was a set of cooking pots. Ordinary as they may appear, here they point to something greater. These pots were most likely used to prepare food for offerings. In the ancient world, meals and sacrifices often went hand in hand with prayer. Sharing food was part of worship, a way to honor the divine. The fact that these pots remained untouched for so long shows just how important they were to sacred rituals. Another group of finds included loom weights, small, heavy stones used to hold thread steady while weaving cloth. Their presence inside a shrine raised new questions. Why weaving tools here? The likely answer is that textiles played a sacred role. Special garments may have been woven for priests, or holy objects may have been wrapped in cloth as part of rituals. This discovery shows that faith in ancient Jerusalem wasn't expressed only through prayer or sacrifice. It was also woven, crafted, and shaped by skilled hands. Worship was a union of devotion and daily work, honoring the divine through both word and craft. Among the discoveries inside the shrine were scarabs, small carved stones shaped like beetles, commonly used in ancient Egypt. Scarabs symbolized life, protection, and rebirth. Finding them here in Jerusalem is remarkable. It suggests strong ties between Judah and Egypt and proves that Jerusalem was not isolated but connected to broader networks of trade, culture, and ideas. This shrine itself carries evidence of that cultural blending. Even more fascinating were the seals and pottery fragments inscribed with writing. One of the most important finds was a rare stone seal from the First Temple period, dating back about 2,700 years. Seals like these were used to stamp clay with names or symbols, marking ownership, authority, or authenticity. The inscribed pottery is equally revealing. It shows that the people of this time were literate and organized. They kept records, identified their belongings, and even left behind personal names. These details tell us that the shrine was not just a place of worship. It was also a place where identity, authority, and daily order mattered. Together, these artifacts paint a vivid picture of life during the First Temple period. They firmly anchor the shrine within that chapter of history and reveal something bigger. Worship didn't end when reforms tried to shut it down. The Bible tells us that King Hezekiah commanded all worship to take place only in the temple. But the objects inside this shrine, pots, fabrics, seals, and scarabs, show that smaller private practices continued in hidden spaces. Worship in ancient Jerusalem wasn't only about grand ceremonies in the temple. It was also about quiet, intimate rituals carried out in secret. These artifacts are more than just objects. They are voices from the past, whispering how people kept their faith alive, no matter the rules imposed on them. They remind us that history is rarely simple. It is layered with secrets waiting to be uncovered. And among all these fascinating discoveries, one stands out above the rest, a find so remarkable that it reshapes everything we thought we knew about this sacred place. This single stone survived while countless others were destroyed, and its story is enough to give you chills. The Standing Stone. Among all the discoveries beneath the Temple Mount, one object stands out as especially powerful: the Standing Stone. But this was no ordinary rock. In the ancient world, a standing stone, known as a massabah, was a sacred marker of God's presence. People prayed beside it, honored it, and saw it as a bridge between heaven and earth. To uncover one here, still intact after nearly 3,000 years, makes the discovery nothing short of extraordinary. Its survival is what makes it so important. According to the Bible, King Hezekiah in the 8th century BC launched sweeping religious reforms. He shut down local shrines and altars, commanding that all worship should be centered at the temple in Jerusalem. As part of those reforms, many standing stones were deliberately destroyed. They were viewed as symbols of older traditions, and removing them was meant to draw the people closer to one unified place of worship. And yet, this stone remained. Why it was spared is a mystery. But its survival tells a story. Instead of being broken or erased, it was carefully sealed beneath the Temple Mount, hidden away through centuries of war, conquest, and change. While others vanished, this one endured. Its very presence is proof that the old ways of worship never fully disappeared. Some traditions were quietly preserved, protected in secret even as new laws were enforced. The fact that this stone was hidden rather than destroyed shows just how deeply people valued it. For the people of ancient Jerusalem, symbols like this carried meaning that went far beyond rules or reforms. They were connections to their past, to their faith, and to the land itself. Preserving the standing stone may have been more than defiance. It may have been an act of devotion, a way of holding on to something sacred that could never truly be replaced. This survival shows something important. The story of Hezekiah's reforms is far more complex than many once believed. His reforms may have been powerful, but they were not absolute. Faith was never shaped only by kings or priests. It was also shaped by ordinary people, people who quietly protected the symbols and practices that mattered most to them. The standing stone is living proof of that. It shows that devotion could not be erased by decree. For historians, this stone is a crucial piece of evidence. It reminds us that official accounts only tell part of the truth. Real life was layered. People may have obeyed new laws in public, but in private, many still held on to older traditions. The standing stone stands as a silent witness to that balance between authority and belief. For believers, it carries an even deeper message. Untouched for nearly 3,000 years, the stone still holds the weight of the faith placed upon it long ago. It has survived kings, wars, reforms, and centuries of silence. And now it speaks again, reminding us that some symbols are simply too sacred to be lost. This stone beneath the Temple Mount is more than a rock. It is a survivor of history, a link to the faith of ancient Jerusalem, and a powerful sign that human devotion endures across time. But this remarkable discovery hasn't just fascinated scholars, it has sent shockwaves around the world, and not everyone is celebrating. The reactions to the shrine show just how powerful this find really is. What was uncovered underground touches not only history but also faith and politics, because the Temple Mount is sacred to Jews, Muslims, and Christians alike. As news spread, Muslims gathered to both pray and protest at the site. Among them was even a man holding a crucifix and Bible in his hands. Every new discovery here carries enormous meaning and often sparks intense debate. Jewish scholars were among the first to study the shrine and its artifacts. Some now see the find as a direct challenge to the traditional story of King Hezekiah's reforms. For centuries, it was believed his changes fully centralized worship at the temple. But this hidden shrine and its sacred objects suggest a far more complicated reality. But the evidence of secret shrines suggests that local worship continued in some form, even after King Hezekiah's reforms. This is prompting scholars to re-examine parts of religious history, raising the possibility that the reforms were not as complete as once believed. Muslim leaders, meanwhile, have expressed concern about how the research is being conducted. The Dome of the Rock, one of Islam's holiest sites, sits atop the Temple Mount. Any discussion of underground exploration naturally raises worries about the safety and sanctity of the site. Even non-invasive studies are sometimes viewed with caution, as preserving the dome and its surrounding structures is paramount. Christian clergy are also paying close attention. For them, the Temple Mount is inseparable from the time of Jesus, who walked in and around Jerusalem. The discovery of a hidden shrine that survived nearly 3,000 years provides new insights into the religious landscape of that era. It sheds light on the mix of worship practices that existed during and after the First Temple period, prompting some Christian scholars to reconsider how these practices may have influenced Jesus' teachings and the world he inhabited. Beyond religious perspectives, the find has stirred political tension. The Temple Mount has long been one of the most contested sites in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, with both sides viewing it as central to their identity and heritage. New discoveries beneath it raise pressing questions about who has the authority to study, protect, and interpret what lies underground. Every artifact can become a point of debate, influencing how history is told and by whom. The discovery also adds pressure to the delicate system of site management. Currently, the Temple Mount is overseen by a mix of religious and political authorities, making any potential change highly sensitive. Some groups may see this as an opportunity to assert greater control, while others may call for stricter restrictions on archaeological work. Today, on this special edition of Jerusalem Dine, the excavations in the Judean desert are being hailed as the most significant archaeological finds since the Dead Sea Scrolls. The debate isn't just about history, it's about power, heritage, and ownership. For the academic world, this discovery is groundbreaking. It challenges the long-held belief that worship in ancient Judah became fully centralized after Hezekiah's reforms. Instead, it reveals a far more complex picture, showing that local practices continued even when official policy dictated otherwise. This forces historians to rethink how religion developed in Jerusalem and how authority, faith, and tradition interacted across centuries. The discovery of the shrine beneath the Temple Mount has global significance. It's not just about the artifacts. It touches faith, sparks political debate, and reshapes how scholars study history. The past isn't just history, it's alive, influencing beliefs, conflicts, and conversations worldwide. This raises deep ethical questions. How far should exploration go? Digging deeper could uncover more history, but also risk damaging sacred structures like the Dome of the Rock. Deciding when to stop, and who gets to make that call, is a delicate challenge. The Temple Mount is sacred to multiple faiths and governed by a fragile system of authorities. Balancing research with respect for these communities is essential. Every new artifact and chamber can ignite debates about history and identity, sometimes sparking protests or tension. The moral dilemma isn't about knowledge itself, it's about timing, method, and respect. Archaeologists want to uncover the past, but the challenge is to do so without destroying, disrespecting, or destabilizing. One wrong move could have serious consequences. A single misstep could spark tension between nations, divide religious groups, or even lead to violence. That's why caution is essential. Sometimes leaving mysteries unsolved is the price for peace and respect. Yet the discoveries beneath the Temple Mount remind us of the value of careful research. They show that history still hides secrets, waiting to reshape what we know. Moving slowly and sensitively is crucial. This is more than an archaeological site. It's a living symbol of faith and identity for millions. Even with all we've uncovered, the biggest mysteries remain. The rooms, artifacts, and standing stone offer clues. But Jerusalem, nearly 5,000 years old and rebuilt countless times, still holds layers of hidden history. The shrine's survival for nearly 3,000 years shows the power of human intention. Someone long ago sealed it away, preserving it for the world to see today. These finds reveal how faith and power coexisted in ancient Jerusalem. Official worship may have been centralized at the temple after Hezekiah's reforms, but smaller hidden traditions persisted. Faith was not erased by decree. It quietly endured, carried by those who believed in the old ways. The shrine beneath the Temple Mount makes Jerusalem's religious life feel richer and more human. Worship was both public and private, celebrated openly and practiced in secret. The artifacts tell us about daily life in the First Temple period: cooking pots for offerings, loom weights for sacred textiles, scarabs linking Jerusalem to Egypt, and inscribed pottery showing literacy and record-keeping even in hidden shrines. The standing stone is the most powerful symbol. Surviving Hezekiah's reforms, it shows that faith cannot be shaped by rulers alone. People hold on to what matters deeply. This shrine is more than an archaeological site. It's a reminder that history is layered, alive, and full of stories, from kings and priests to families and believers. More secrets may still lie buried, waiting to be revealed. Until then, the shrine stands as a bridge across time, keeping Jerusalem's past alive.